A few days after the rest of my family returned home, the house grew unusually quiet. The noise, movement, and emotional intensity that had filled it during my mother's final days suddenly disappeared. In their place was a deep stillness, heavy with grief, but also inviting reflection. One of my brothers, the one who had taken on much of the responsibility of caring for our mother, stayed with me for a couple of extra days. His calm, practical presence helped soften the transition from those intense moments back into ordinary life. Before I drove him home, he mentioned a small issue that needed attention, a leak under the sink in the master bathroom. It was such an ordinary problem, the kind that reminds you that life keeps going, even when everything inside you feels paused. I told him I would take care of it. I began moving back and forth between the bathroom and the garage, collecting tools and supplies. While my hands were busy, my mind wandered. I was focused on the task, but also lost in thought, thinking about my mother, feeling the weight of her absence, and trying to adjust to the unfamiliar reality of life without her. On my third trip to the garage, something completely unexpected happened. In the middle of this simple, everyday routine, I suddenly heard my mother's voice. I didn't see her, there was no image or physical form, but her presence felt undeniable. The space around me seemed to shift, becoming calm and clear, filled with a sense of peace and light that is difficult to put into words. Her voice sounded strong and youthful, nothing like the weakness and pain she had endured near the end of her life. The contrast overwhelmed me. I stopped where I was and began to cry out of fear, but from an intense mix of love, relief, and awe. The experience didn't feel strange or unfamiliar. It felt natural, as if I were reconnecting with something deeply known. One of the first things she said was, "Why was everyone at the hospital? I've been here, in the house, the whole time." I replied, "I know. That's why I didn't go to the hospital to see you." She spoke gently and then asked how I was doing. I told her I was fine, and we shared a brief but meaningful exchange. At one point she asked, "How did you know this place would be so beautiful, so full of peace, warmth, and love?" The question felt sincere and direct. Through my tears, I answered without hesitation, "Because I've been there before." The words came naturally, as if I was speaking a truth I had always carried inside me. We spoke a little more, though much of that conversation has faded over time. What remains most clearly is the meaning behind what she shared. She made two statements that stood out as especially important statements that directly contradicted the religious beliefs she had held throughout her life. The first confirmed something I had long felt or believed about reincarnation and returning to Earth. She said, "You were right, we are born again." I was still crying as she spoke. Just second challenged the traditional teachings of her congregation. She said, "There is no paradise the way my congregation described it." She didn't say this with disappointment, but with calm certainty, as if to suggest that what exists beyond this life is far more complex and profound than the simple images we are often given. Before the experience ended, she told me that she loved all of us and asked me to take care of everyone. Then she was gone. That moment stayed with me. It didn't create new beliefs so much as confirm what I already know about life, death, and continuity. Her voice did not feel like a memory or something created by grief. It felt present, aware, and enduring, something not limited by time or physical form. I know experiences like this can be explained in many ways through religion, psychology, or logic. I don't argue against those perspectives, and I don't try to prove anything. I'm not offering this as evidence or asking anyone to believe what I believe. I share it simply because it happened and because of how deeply it affected me. What I took from that experience wasn't a doctrine or a detailed picture of the afterlife. It was a quiet reassurance that love continues, that existence is deeper than what we immediately see, and that the bonds we form in this life are far stronger and more enduring than they sometimes appear. That understanding has stayed with me, gently shaping how I move through loss, memory, and everyday life with a greater sense of trust and continuity.